Good afternoon, everyone, and to anyone listening outside as well. We're just giving a quick briefing on a matter that we're coming up before Council in December, and that's the renewal of the Margaret River Youth Precinct Cafe, which is currently leased to West Coffee Co. or Georgia Webb trading as West Coffee Co. And that you might have seen in last week's newspaper, there would have been local public notice. There we go. So these are the details that were published in last week's newspaper, and that's an obligation that we have under the Local Government Act, where we are entering into a new lease. We advertise the details. So the lease was originally, the first lease started in 2018, and that was to Soggy Bones. And Soggy Bones ran it for just over 3 years, and in their third year there was an employee who started to run their own business from there. And that at the end of the 3 years, that was assigned, the lease was assigned to that person, being Georgia Webb. Georgia's performance as a tenant has been, I'd say, exceptional amongst our commercial lessees. In her improvements to the lease and the way that she runs the business has helped revitalise that area. A couple of things to note that we did generally the rent was increasing by CPI. We did a market rent review, I think in 2022, and that took the base rent had been 14,000, and it took the base rent up to 24, which is quite a substantial increase. And we've recently got a valuation, which we need to do when we do these local public notices, is we need to get an independent valuation, and we got that, and it shows that the rent that we were charging was actually pretty much spot on. So that's also 24,000, which is quite a good look, because it means that she's going to be happy because her rent's not going to increase, and we're happy because we've been getting the right amount of rent already. I think, probably the only other thing to note is that there is a sublease. That sublease is a 3x3, so a 3 month by 3 month sublease. And that relationship is generally between Georgia and that person. However, they do need the lessor's consent, the Shire's consent, when they enter into that. And we've asked that it be kept to under 3 months. Yep. So under 6 months, because that triggers certain rights under the Commercial Tenancy Act. So it's our preference that that only Georgia have those commercial tenancy rights.
Okay. Councillor Binks and Muir, I think you both had questions. Can you please use your microphone when you ask a question? Thanks, Councillor Muir.
Sorry, I just want some confirmation on what the 3 month by 3 month, kind of how that works exactly, if you don't mind explaining, just so I'm clear. Sorry.
So under the under the residential tenant, and I don't want to get too much into legal advice. We can go offline if we're going to talk legal rights and obligations. Might be better to do it off air.
Yeah. And Councillor Binks?
I think that I'm really pleased with the Shire having leased that area out to Georgia. I think she's done a great job. But I also discovered yesterday that the sublease has just been awarded Casual Restaurant of the Year under the WA Food Guide. So they are doing great things, which I think tying in with the skate park, the Shire precinct, the heart is just fabulous. So yeah, I'm really pleased with the way that's working.
Yeah, I think they have helped that sublease, which was partly due to the fact that there was an increase in the rent, has been beneficial to everyone involved. The Shire, the head tenant, the head lessee, and the sublessee as well. So I think everyone's happy with that.
Councillor Boland?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, I just want to check on the sublease. Is that Curry House place? Is that what we're talking about?
They're called Dole Daddy.
Dal Daddy.
Yeah, yeah.
That's nice.
Well, just be mindful that if anyone wants to talk about leases particularly, we'll do that offline with a staff member, not in this live streaming process.
Right.
Thank you. Are there any other? Sorry. Yep.
Yes, just in terms of what we've got here under the Local Government Act, about giving public notice, I was just going to ask a question around that, but maybe that's something for offline.
Yeah, I'd say if it pertains to the Shire's any rights or obligations of the Shire or the lessee, it'd probably be better to discuss those offline so we can be kind of frank in that advice and talk in the Shire's best interests.
Yes, thanks.
Are there any other questions from anyone about this item? So this will be coming to us in the 13th of December meeting. Is that the intention? Yeah, great. Okay, thanks. If there's no other queries or questions, thank you, folks, for that briefing. Our next briefing, councillors, is the annual financial report from Mel Stevens. Thank you. Righto, councillors, we'll kick off with this next briefing run by Mel, the financial report. Thank you, Mel.
Thank you. And I might stand up because it feels weird sitting down here and I can't see anyone, but I'm talking to you. So historically, the auditors met with the council once per year to discuss the financial statements and the audit of those financial statements for the year. That's a requirement under the Local Government Act. But in recent years, the auditors have tended to prefer to meet with the Audit and Risk Management Committee, and this year they met with the Shire President and myself and Nick whilst he was acting as CEO. But financial statements are something that they can be quite a struggle to understand, and so I thought it would be worth just giving Council a rundown of the headlines, just so you've got a good awareness of what's in those financial statements. So the audit is going to the Audit and Risk meeting tonight, but the financial statements will come to you on the 13th of December as part of the annual report. So under the Local Government Act, you are required as council to endorse an annual report by 31st December. So you'll see that coming to you. The auditors also hadn't issued their audit opinion in time to make the Audit and Risk meeting, so that will be presented to you as well. So I just wanted to let you know, I guess, that and the auditors have given us an unmodified, unqualified opinion, which is a positive result. It just basically means that our accounts are based on proper records and that they are materially correct. So that's great. But I thought I would just flick through a couple of the key pages in the financial statements so that when you see them, maybe just to preempt some questions you might have. So there are 48 pages. I'm going to concentrate on maybe 3 of those pages. And so if I scroll down here, the first one I was going to show you is the statement of comprehensive income. So I guess in a general sense, what we're saying is this is the operating income and expenditure for the year. Can everyone see that on their screens? It's quite small, but you've got screens there. So it will show that we had operating revenue for the year of $43.2 million, which exceeded the budget by just over $4 million, $4.4 million. So there are a few reasons for that, and as you go down the list of kind of sources of revenue, you can see there that we did actually derive more income from rates than we anticipated, which I think is really a testament to the growth that we've seen in subdivision activity, resulting in more interim rates being raised during the year. The other big one there is the grant, subsidies and contributions. So the government announced that we would receive 100% advance payment of our financial assistance grant for this financial year. We received it on the 30th of June last financial year, so we had to record the full thing. They just wanted it off their books, so they put it onto our books very kindly. That was $1.9 million, so it's a substantial amount. So they paid that to us in advance, and we were required to recognise the whole amount immediately. The other headline thing, I guess, in revenue is our interest. You'll see that in 2022, we made $284,000 in interest. That went up this year to $1.3 million of interest, which, of course, is due to the interest rates increasing so significantly. I guess also with that, $300,000-ish of that interest revenue was because we took out that $8 million loan in mid-2022 for the Aquatic Centre, and we invested the full amount immediately. So that 1.3 might not necessarily reflect what we will be earning in future years because it had that additional interest on revenue there. With our expenditure, we were roughly actually in line with budget. So we budgeted expenditure of $45.4 million and we've expended $45.5 million. So it's pretty close, but there are ups and downs all over the place, as you can see. Further down, if I just go to capital grants, subsidies and contributions, you might look at that figure immediately and go, oh, wow, we've received $20 million in grants as opposed to a budget of 6.9. Not true. So $14.4 million of that is actually the recognition of donated assets. So that's where we have developers that have, created these subdivisions. They've made these beautiful roads and paths, and then they pass them over to us to maintain for the rest of their life. So it's shown as recognised as revenue. It's really a liability, but it's there it is. So when you look at that $20 million, it's not actually a cash contribution to the Shire. It's more of a, here you go, take these assets and look after them. Yep. So I'll scroll down a bit because this is the bit that might concern you. So it's probably the bottom line when you look at the total comprehensive income for the period. It's minus $86 million. So what this actually represents is the infrastructure revaluation that occurred during the year. So every 5 years under the accounting standards, we engage a qualified valuer who comes in and revalues various asset classes. Last year it was land and building, and this year it's infrastructure. And so what they identified this year was that the fair value of our infrastructure assets was $102 million less than what we had on the books. Understandably, the auditors were asking a few questions about this, and we did a lot of work with the valuers to identify what the issues might have been. It's really hard to say, for definite what the issue was, but I can say it doesn't represent a physical loss of assets. It's not a sudden deterioration in the quality of our assets. It looks to be more that the data that we have on the condition of our assets now is more accurate and reasonable than the condition data we might have had 5 years ago when the previous values came in. So the replacement...
Can I ask a question? Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, so is that about, I guess, say our main assets like our buildings and how they are assessed and the quality of them, and there's a discrepancy between how we're doing it and then external valuers coming in, or how does that work?
Well, this was not land and buildings, this was infrastructure. So it's roads, it's drainage, it's curbs, paths, public open spaces. And Nick, you might want to jump in at any point if you've got something to add. But it's more, we have so many assets, thousands and thousands of assets. And so it depends on how the valuers undertake their valuation. They might rely on information that we give them about construction dates, or they might sample particular assets and go, well, we'll just look at these roads, we won't look at those roads, and we'll make some assumptions overall. So the last valuation done 5 years ago, the infrastructure asset value went up about $57 million from what it was before that. So, there's spikes all over the place, ups, downs. It's so changeable. But it's not that the assets have depreciated really quickly. It's just there's differences in the way that valuations are undertaken and the data that's relied upon.
I guess I'm just wondering, are we suddenly going to have to do a whole lot of restitution to a whole lot of infrastructure in a shorter time than we'd imagined? Is that, or this is more of a theoretical? I don't know. Yeah.
Do you want to answer the condition?
I guess one thing to note from the 2018 valuation is, as Mel points out, the standard hasn't actually physically altered any more than the kind of 5 years of ageing sans the intervention that we've undertaken. So the program for us remains much the same. I guess there's probably two things there. One is the certainty of data. And we would consider that we are much more certain about the data that we have now, but we know that it's not perfect still, and that's something that we're continually working on. The other thing is that the rating schedule that they use, or the rating scale that they use, although both of the valuers that undertook the condition assessment and the valuation in 2018 and 2023 are well, or 22, 23 are well kind of recognised and qualified. It's fair to say there's differences in approach to the methodology. So, you know, the rating scale of condition assessment might be from 1 to 5. And there's only really 3 levels of assessing what a road is. It's either 2, 3 or 4, or it's brand new, or it's completely broken. And then so if one valuer is approaching it and saying, look, I'm going to put these things that are in a moderate category, mostly in a 3, it has because the value of the assets is so huge, it has a massive influence if someone is more inclined to put it in the 4 bracket. And I think that's probably the issue that we have, is trying to get them to compare apples with apples. It's not to say that either is necessarily wrong, but we have investigated this at length through recommendation of the auditors, and we're comfortable with the result.
Yeah, and more importantly, I guess the auditors are comfortable with the result, and they look at this. They were looking at this in the context of all other local governments that they were auditing as well. So they noticed that the other local governments saw infrastructure value increases and ours was a decrease. So they needed to be really satisfied that, you know, we'd put all the due diligence into the numbers, and they're comfortable that the numbers in these financial statements are correct. The only other thing I thought I'd point out here, it's a small number compared to the number we just looked at, but the loss on asset disposals there is $1.5 million compared to $45,000 in the budget. That's really purely just because of the 2 bushfire brigades that moved across to DFES. So when we kind of took on the assets related to those bushfire brigades, we didn't pay for them. DFES just give us the assets, we recognise them. And so when they moved back to DFES, we recognise a loss, you know, loss of those assets, but not loss in relation to anything we've spent. The second statement that I was going to just touch on briefly, because it's important, I guess, in private businesses, you look at a balance sheet. Here it's called a statement of financial position. It's the same thing, just outlines the Shire's assets and liabilities for the year as at 30th of June, so as at a point in time. One figure that looks odd, I think, here is this cash. It looks like we're rolling in it. You look at it and it's $19 million as opposed to $9 million. And you might have questions from people in the public going, you know, why are we accumulating all of these funds? I just wanted to point out that the third line down here, other financial assets, you kind of need to add those and cash together. So under the accounting standards, if you hold a term deposit for 90 days or less, it's recognised as cash. 91 days or more, it's recognised as a financial asset. So we're not rolling in any more cash than we had before. It purely is just a classification between other financial assets and cash. Okay. Total assets is down, but that is really because of this infrastructure revaluation, which has seen the infrastructure value fall. And I don't think there was anything else I wanted to point out. That it was really just those 2 main things that I thought you might be interested in, unless you've got any questions. You can see our borrowings are going down because we're just repaying and we're not taking out any further debt at this time. And our reserves are going up, which is good. Okay. We're looking pretty good. I'll jump past the cash flow and the statement of changes in equity and just touch on this last one, because when we're budgeting, this is the one that I really look at with council in detail. It's the one that ratepayers care about. So it used to be called the rate setting statement. It's now called the statement of financial activity, but it's exactly the same thing. So this is where in the budget we look at all the sources of revenue that we think we're going to derive. We look at all the expenditure we think we're going to incur, operating and capital, and we get to that bottom deficit figure, and that's how we make up, that's what we make up from council rates. So in the budget, the rate increase was set at 4.75% to result in this kind of balanced budget. So that's the rates we needed to be able to pay for everything we needed to pay for. That was based on us having a surplus of about $3.9 to $4 million brought forward from last financial year. And I just wanted to let you know that that was an accurate position. So the auditors have signed off on that opening surplus of just under $4 million. So that 4.75% rate increase that you endorsed was kind of accurately reflecting what we needed to put in place this year. And that, unless anyone has any questions, that concludes the briefing.
Any questions? Councillor Earl.
Mel, perhaps for the new councillors, you might be able to explain the cheap rates that we've got for our loans. Unless you already, do you know how that works? Perhaps for the new councillor, we're nicking into how all that works.
Sorry, to explain?
Oh, so for the loan that we've taken out for some of these other projects that we've got that we're paying off the loans at the moment, they're actually at pretty cheap rates, aren't they? Compared with what we could buy money for at the moment.
Yeah, they are very good rates actually, and you know, I'm really excited about the $8 million that we recently took out as well, because we took out that $8 million just before the interest rates started creeping up and up. So we invested that $8 million immediately, and the rate of return we were getting from the investment in the term deposit exceeded the loan interest we were paying. So we're actually making money from that, which was, I know it worked out really well, but that's because council endorsed us taking out the loan early. It's wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, so it's helped to pay for the rec centre, which is great.
So good.
Oh, sorry, Mel, I guess the point is that when we take out a loan, we get a set rate at that time, and the rate doesn't go up. If the interest rates go up, we don't.
They're fixed rate, yeah.
Yeah, it's a fixed term. It actually works the other way when you borrow it at the high rate, so it doesn't go down.
Yeah.
Councillor Boland, I think did you have a question?
Previous experience on the council, and the provider of the loan is State Treasury, is that right? Is that where the money comes from? Yeah, I just wanted to check. Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Mel, and it's really good point. I think, you know, mentioning that almost $2 million that was effectively prepaid from the feds that they give us every year, so that kind of made things look a bit differently, but that was very comprehensive, a great explanation. Thank you. So next up we have I think, Nick, are you running the next briefing not until 3:30, so, yeah, okay, great. So I propose that we'll wait, because that's an interesting one. So we've got 10 minutes. Go for it, Steph. We'll just take it offline, maybe. Oh, yes. Yeah, thank you. Audit and Risk Management Committee at 4:33. Kaya Kwaba Kiji Kijang Jiang Nunda Yalgara Yaranga Wadandi Buja. Hello, good to see you all together on Wadandi Buja. Nala Kachit Wadandi Yanganjali Wadandi Buja. Nala Jena Bidiwa Wato Yagala. I'd like to acknowledge the Wadandi people, traditional owners of Wadandi country, and pay my respects to owners past and present. Item 2 is attendance. We have an approved leave from Councillor Paula Cristofanini. Item 3, I haven't received any disclosures of interest. If anyone has any disclosures of interest? No. Okay, item 4, public questions, and there is no one here to ask questions. So item 5, applications for leave of absence. Do I have any note from any members? No. Item 6 is the confirmation of the minutes from the previous meeting. So that I have a motion here that the minutes of the Audit Risk Management Committee meeting held on the 24th of May 2023 are confirmed to be true and correct record of the meeting. Could I have a councillor to move that, please? Councillor Keno, and a seconder.
Myself or Councillor Jones were here at the last meeting, so I am happy to second, but possibly yourself if you were present.
Can I just ask, is that, sorry, just direct that to our Manager of Governance and Legal. Is that a problem? Because I'm happy to do it if I have to.
It's best if anyone can move, or it's best if it was someone that was at the meeting.
Well,
But if we don't have,
I wasn't.
we've had that problem before and we've just carried on with anyone. But
Okay,
if we didn't
I
have
wasn't
anyone
at the
there-
meeting because I wasn't previously on the committee, so we'll just have to go with one of you two, if you don't mind. Councillor Boland. Thank you. And if there's no one to vote against it or speak against it, I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's carried 4-0 unanimously. Thank you.
Madam President, are we voting electronically or not?
Pardon?
Are we voting electronically or not?
Oh, no, sorry, councillors. We're not voting electronically. We're using our hands. Thank you.
We are online. This is being broadcast.
Correct. This is live streamed. Yep.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is 6.1, report on legislative compliance requirements for 2022-23. So I have a motion here that the Audit and Risk Management Committee receives a report on legislative compliance requirements due over the 1st of July 22 to 30th of June 23 period, noting a total of 109 compliance actions completed and 7 pending. Do I have a councillor to move that motion, please? Councillor Keno, and a seconder. Councillor Jones. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you.
Excuse
Okay.
me, Madam President, are we going through that report in terms of any particular items on that report?
Sorry, Councillor Boland, I didn't actually give you the chance to go over that report, so we'll just, I will allow you, of course, to ask questions if you wish, so I would just rescind that vote if you would like to talk about that, of course. So, thank you. If we can just have the opportunity now for any councillor to ask questions on that or go through it, speak for it or against it. Would anyone like to?
Sorry, I thought we were receiving it and then we would deal with any items in it that were of interest to members of the committee. So I noted a few things. In particular, the overdue review of local laws, but that's also on our council agenda tonight. And dealing with that. I suppose that there's I had a general inquiry around those that. Is there the need for wholesale changes to current local laws, or could it be the case that, yes, that law can remain as is. This may be something for
Yeah, it might be a question
Mr.
to-
McLeod, but I was wondering, I assume that there are things of consequence to be dealt with in those local laws, and that is the reason that they are taking some time to be done. But I had that general inquiry.
Okay, I'll just direct that question to Mr. McLeod, please. Thank you.
So because of there's the procedural requirements for reviewing a local law are almost the same as the procedural requirements for making a local law, which usually requires at least 2 council reports. So the idea is, yes, to combine as many of them as we can and probably do an omnibus type report where we go through all the different local laws and the changes that we might be making, and list of local laws that we might not be making any changes to. So we're likely to do that within this financial year, but we wanted to have them all together as much as we could. Some are going to require wholesale changes. I'd say the ones like the health local law. Other ones will, and the standing local law is another example of one that is probably going to disappear with the uniform provisions that are coming in. And then we'd say ones like the parking local law and the local government property local law will just have very minor tweaks because there have been ongoing amendments to them. And the fact that there have been amendments doesn't take away the requirement to review them at least once every 8 years.
Are there any further questions that you have, Councillor Boland?
I do have a few, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
So
well, now's
I-
the opportunity before we vote on it, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
In terms of the annual report, is there a standard practice that the annual report, which then leads to the annual electors meeting, and I believe the annual electors meeting is going to be in late January. I was wondering whether that is the standard practice for this Shire in terms of when it holds its annual electors meetings. Some towns, shires, cities are either side of that. Some are earlier, some are later. I think probably there's a preference for them to be held as early as possible, but that's also subject to particularly having the auditors sign off. So I'm just inquiring really around whether it is standard practice for us to go into January, or whether there is scope for particularly the annual electors meeting to be earlier than late January.
Yep. I'll direct that to our Director of Corporate and Customer Services. Thank you, Mel.
Thank you for that one. So we are kind of dictated by part with when the audit is concluded. So the audit of the financial statements has been concluded, which means Council can now endorse the annual report, which needs to happen before 31st December. So I think that's planned for the 13th of December. And I can't remember the exact number of days, but there is a requirement then to take that to the annual electors meeting within, does anyone know? I think it's 56 days. So I think within 56 days after that, it needs to go to the annual general electors meeting. I guess there would be scope to make it earlier, but we try and coincide it with when there is a council meeting date, and we don't have a council meeting date in late December or early January, so that's the earliest that we've got the council meeting.
Yep. Any further questions?
It seems that that's been the practice here for a while, I guess. I'm not trying to change that practice. Yeah. It's just an observation around that timing, because it can be an issue in some places that the community likes to hear from have their annual electors meeting as soon as possible. It's one time than when the community does have more of an opportunity, I guess, at a council meeting, although we have plenty of opportunities in terms of deputations and questions and etc. I noticed in the in a lot of the items there was reference to synergy. And at first I was thinking synergy provides our energy, but I assume synergy is not, in this context, that entity. Could someone explain that one to me?
Yes, I'll allow you, Mel. It's, yeah.
Yes, sorry, I'm not quite sure where it refers to Synergy, but Synergy is the Shire's overall software system. It contains our financial and other information.
There was a meeting scheduled with the auditors. I think I'm referring to compliance ID 120. I don't know if this would help if I make reference to the ID numbers in the report, that a meeting with the auditors scheduled, but I wasn't quite sure whether that had happened yet or not.
So this is one of the 109 actions, is it?
Yes.
Because that's what, yeah, we're referring to that
Yeah.
particular motion. Okay.
So that's the November 2022 meeting with the auditors?
Yes,
was-
in some of the items is reference to what's happening now. So I wasn't.
The Audit and Risk Management Committee did meet with the auditors on the 23rd November 2022. Yep. And then further, the chair of the Audit and Risk Management Committee met with the auditors on the 9th or 8th of November this year as well. Yep.
So that's compliance with that item.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Notice item 150, notice of the annual electors meeting. It seemed like that was only to go on the library notice board, which seemed very limited notice. I assume we have it distributed more widely than that, but I wondered whether that was just, is that the minimum requirement that it goes on the library notice board?
Thank you, Mel. If you could answer that one, please.
No problem. It's a requirement, I think, under the Local Government Act with local public notice. There are a number of places that you need to put notices, and the local libraries, both the Margaret River and the Augusta location, are just two of the locations. There'll also be adverts at the Shire Civic Admin Building, the Augusta Shire offices, on the website, emailed out to subscribers. There are various places. I think that covers most of them, but yeah, it's local paper. Sorry, thank you, Ian. So yes, the advert will be placed in various locations and not just the local library.
Thank you. I noticed compliance ID 13 on primary returns referred to new councillors filing their primary return, and I'd like to let you know that that is underway. Just needing to check a few things before I will have my primary return in. Thank you. That was all I had. Thanks.
Okay, great. So we'll vote on that motion again, given that those questions came after we voted, so we're doing this correctly. So councillors, can I ask you all to please raise your hand in support of the motion 6.1? Thank you. So that's carried 4-0 unanimously. Thank you. So we'll now move on to item 6.2, which is the OAG Focus Audit Reports, and this motion is that the Audit and Risk Management Committee notes the Office of the Auditor General's Report 4, 2023-24, Staff Exit Controls for Government Trading Enterprises, and recommends the report be provided to Council. So that report will be provided to Council. Are there any questions from councillors in regards to this item? No? Okay, so I'll have a councillor to move that, please. Councillor Jones, and a seconder. Councillor Boland, thank you. Do you wish to speak to that, Councillor Jones or Councillor Boland? No. If there's no one to speak against that, then I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's 4-0, thank you. The next item is 6.3, Annual Financial Report for the year ending 30th of June 2023. We have a motion there that the Audit and Risk Management Committee receives the annual report for the year ending 30th of June 23, notes that the independent auditor's report will be issued based on the annual financial report for the year ended 30th of June 2023 and provided, and recommends that the annual financial report, including the independent auditor's report, be included in the annual report. Are there any questions from anyone in regards to this item? Nope. Okay, councillor to move it, please. Councillor Keno and Councillor Boland to second that. Councillor Keno? Councillor Boland? No. If no one wishes to speak against that, we will put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's 4-0, carried unanimously. Item 6.4 is the audit concluding report for the year ended 30th of June 2023. I have a motion here to, that the Audit and Risk Management Committee receives the audit concluding report for the year ended 30th of June 23 and confirms that the chair of the committee has met with representatives of OAG and More Australia to discuss this report and the audit of the 2022-23 annual financial report. Any questions around this one, councillors? No, I'll have a councillor to move it, please. Councillor Boland and a seconder, Councillor Jones. If no one wishes to speak against that, we'll put that. Oh, would you like to speak to it?
To say it seems to be a healthy report on the finances and the governance of our Shire, and it's a credit to the administration that things are being done so well, and it's refreshing to see that as a new councillor as well, that we have a robust and active administration safeguarding our finances and our governance. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Boland. I wish to also concur those comments. As the chair of the committee, when we had the meeting, it was really credit to Mel and her staff in managing our finances so diligently, and it's really pleased. I'm really pleased to know that we're in this situation. So it's a great report. So to that note, if I can have a show of hands, please, all of those in support of this motion. That's 4-0, carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 8 is confidential business, and there is none. So item 9 is closure of the meeting at 4:51. Thank you, everyone, for attending. I wish to declare this meeting open at 5:30. Kaya Kwaba Kiji Jinang Nunda Yalgala Yaranga Wadandi Buja. Hello, good to see you all together on Wadandi Buja. Nala Kadich Wadandi Yangajali Wadandi Buja. Nala Jena Bidiwa Wato Yalgara. I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of this beautiful country, this beautiful Buja, the Wadandi people, and I pay my respects to owners past, present. Item 2 on the agenda is attendance. I have approved leave from Councillor Paula Cristofanini, who is overseas on a wonderful holiday. Item 3, disclosures of interest. And
Quick point of order.
oh, sorry.
I'm here or I'm not here.
Good pick up, Councillor Binks. Thank you.
Excuse me, it's a concern that it's the blokes that were left off.
Never, Councillor. Don't think about it too much. Okay, so item 3 on the agenda is disclosures of interest. I have none written at this stage. Item 4, public questions. And I have 4.1 is the question from Todd Giles. Sorry. Yeah? Response to previous. Okay, sorry, there's no response to previous public questions taken on notice, but 4.2 is public question time. And I have Todd Giles here, I believe. If you could please state your name and address, Todd. Thank you. And maybe press the button. Yep, thank you.
Yeah, my name's Todd Giles, 441 Hadley Road, Witchcliffe. My question is about the LPS 2. To use the Shire's own words, it's quite a complex document. Been liaising with a few other bodies around the Shire, and we're led to believe that the document was in the Shire's hands. Well, sent to the WA Planning Commission in 2020 and then received back in 2023, and now you're putting it out for public comment late in the year. And we just feel with Christmas, New Year, holidays, busy time, that we'd like an extra 30 days for submission period, please, is my question.
Thank you, Todd, for your question. I'll direct that to Mr. Nick Logan, please, to respond to you. Thank you.
Through the chair, thanks for your question, Todd. I understand that in the very near future we've scheduled some time to sit down with you and go through the scheme content. We have extended the statutory advertising period to recognise the fact that there's a bit of downtime in the middle there over Christmas and the start of January. So it's quite a long consultation period we've got there at the moment, and I think we'd kind of like to keep an end date, but at the same time, excuse me, we'd be more than happy to sit down with you, go through any concerns you have, and if you need a little bit more time to get your submission to us, to talk about how long that might take to get your comments back. So at present, our intent is to stick with the closing date for the end of January, and we'll see how that goes, and we'll keep in touch with you about the progress of your submission, and if you need a bit more time to get it to us, we'll speak to you about that then. Thanks very much.
How does everyone feel about that? Councillors?
Yes, so I'll speak on behalf of council. We had a bit of a chat today, and we're very confident that this is going to be a thorough consultation process, and the timeline is not a strict one. You know, it's not the 30th of January that it closes, and if some submissions come in just a little bit after that, that's okay. So
it's just quite a complex, it's quite a complex document.
It is a very complex document.
Takes a bit of gnawing through, yeah. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot of points of contact that the council staff are having with all different components of the community. So we're confident that the consultation process is really thorough, and there's plenty of opportunity to everyone, to put their submissions in. And And so you know, council does receive a very large report on all the submissions made, and you know that will inform our process forward in regards to the scheme. So, thank you.
No, I was hoping for a better result, but anyway, we'll keep working on it.
Thank you, Todd. Thanks for your question. I believe there's also another public question, and that is from Lynn Saventi. If you could please state your name and address, Lynn. Thank you.
Lynn Saventi, 36 Riedel Drive, Narrabub. Thanks for the opportunity to ask the question. The elected members of council received draft local planning scheme 2 ahead of the 26th of August 2020 ordinary council meeting for consideration at that meeting. First question, was the local planning scheme 2 provided to councillors in August 2020, the same as the local planning scheme 2, which has now been advertised for public comment?
Would you like to ask the other question, or would you like that answered? I'll refer that to the Director of Sustainable Development, Mr. Nick Logan, to answer then. Thank you.
Through the chair, the process of making the scheme involves the decision of the council to adopt the scheme for the purpose of consultation before forwarding it to the Planning Commission for their consideration. The Planning Commission, I think as you're probably aware, have then issued us with a number of modifications that need to be made to the scheme. So in making those modifications, there's an inherent change from the version that was presented to council in August 2020 to the version that is advertised now for public comment, and the one that's advertised now for public comment is the one that we're seeking comment on. That is the draft version of LPS 2.
Oh, sorry, so the answer's no?
Yeah.
The question was, is it the same?
I was just explaining why.
Yeah, I think that
The
question's
answer's
been
no?
answered, Lynn.
It's no?
Well, the question's been answered.
Yeah, the answer is no. It's
you.
changed,
Thank
and
you.
that's why.
Yeah.
Given the local planning scheme 2 is now out for public comment and therefore on the public record, can the council make the local planning scheme 2 document that was provided to elected members of council in August 2020 now public?
Thanks for your question, Lynn. I'll also direct that towards Mr. Nick Logan, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you.
Look, through the chair again, I think I'll take that one on notice. I think just as a kind of foreshadowing what the response is likely to be, I'd say to do so would run the risk of complicating the consultation process, to have different versions of the scheme that were available for the public. It doesn't really serve any benefit to look at the version that was adopted by council versus the version that's available for comment and think about how those things have been amended. What's relevant is the fact that there's a draft planning scheme that's available for public comment at the moment, so the response will be in that light.
Sorry, was the answer no or yes?
But Lynn, we'll take that question on notice. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. And that will be provided in the minutes when they're released.
Okay,
So,
thank you very much.
Thank you, Lynn.
I had thought that there would be expertise here that would be able to give an answer to that, yes or no, whether that is now a public
Well, we'll
document.
take that on notice,
Thank
Lynn.
you.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay, the next item on the... Oh, in fact, is there any other public questions before I close that item? No? Sorry. Sorry, I've just got a... Councillor Boland, did you have...
I have a petition to present.
Yeah,
and
that's
just-
later in the...
But just speaking briefly to the petitioners before the meeting, they were going to speak to it, but they thought that they would speak at the time that I presented the petition. So,
Okay, I'll just check on the ability to allow that process. Okay. So in regards to that item, at the time that we receive the petition later in the agenda at item 8, I feel I have the discretion to allow the petitioner to provide a statement in regards to their petition, to introduce the petition to council. So that would be the opportunity if they wish to say something. But it's not a deputation as such because it hasn't been received according to the local laws, the standing orders. So that's really the only opportunity I can offer at this stage.
Yes, if that's going to happen, that's fine. They were going to fill in a form to speak, and then it was
So when we consider item 8, which is petitions, I'll allow the petitioner to have a couple of minutes to explain the petition, and then we will do what we need to do with the petition, which is, consider it formally.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Item 5 is applications for leave of absence, and I don't believe I have any from any councillors. Item 6 is the confirmation of minutes of the previous meeting, the OCM on the 8th of November 2023. Do I have any questions from any councillors in regards to this item? No, can I have a councillor to move it, please? Councillor Binks and Councillor Earl to second. Councillor Binks, do you wish to speak? Councillor Earl. If there's no one to speak against that, I'll put that to the vote, please. And councillors, this evening we are using our hands, not the device in front of us. So a show of hands for those in support of this motion. That's carried 7-0 unanimously. Thank you. Item 7 is deputations, and there are none. Item 8 is petitions. So, as council is aware, we have a petition, which is item 8.1. This is a petition to reduce the speed of traffic on Tunbridge Street in Margaret River by Ray Borskis. I hope I said that right. Borskis. Thank you, Ray. So, Ray, I will give you the opportunity to talk to your petition just for a couple of minutes, and if you just keep it to a statement, that would be appreciated. And then council will consider formally receiving this petition and then what we do with it. So our standing orders stipulate how we deal with the petition. So, Ray, if you would like to come up to the microphone, perhaps if you could state your name and your address for the records, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Ray Borskis from 66 Tunbridge Street, Margaret River. Firstly, I'd like to thank the opportunity to be able to present this petition and thank Councillor Boland for coming along and listening to the concerned residents of Tunbridge. The first thing is, I've been in Margaret River for 7 years, love the place, it's fantastic. I'll try and get to the point. When I was first here, the traffic was great. It was very comfortable and we were very lucky. However, when the main road development went through Margaret River, which was fair enough, and they did a fantastic job, they've used Tunbridge Street as a main exit point off Russell Highway. And what's occurred now is a rat run, where there's a lot of people using Tunbridge compared to 7 years ago. And the sad part about it is, use Tunbridge, but the speed is getting out of control in quite a few places. Some people are doing 70, 80, 90 and a 50. I don't think some people realise it is a 50. The other issue is there are 6 children in the pocket where Gemma and I live, and it's a real concern. They're 5 years and below. And there's many services. I won't go into it because you know about Tunbridge Street. There's ambulance services, hospitals, there's a whole stack of services. And we're very concerned by the fact that this speed is going to create a huge issue, and we don't want to be a part of it. The police do a fantastic job. But everyone in Margaret River knows when a multi-nova goes in, it goes on Man Street and Tunbridge. Everyone knows that. So I speaking to a lot of people, they actually slow down at that point. So we need to trick them and wake them up, because there's a lot of people who are disrespectful. Driving is a privilege, not a right. And there's a lot of people who are doing it poorly, and we're very concerned. The other suggestion is we need a permanent solution to this problem, because Tunbridge Street is going to become more busy. The issue is even signs, which we put in a petition, that was presented by Mr Boland, or Councillor Boland. And the other issue is even one of those signs that has a happy face when you do a 50, psychologically sound to the Neanderthals who drive that road, including me, I suppose. But we need something to wake people up on what is going on in Tunbridge, because sadly someone's going to get seriously hurt, if not lose their life, which will be very sad. So I thank you for listening to me, but the question is, what can the council do about this?
Thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
So now council will formally consider the petition. So we have a motion in front of us, councillors, that Council A... Oh, sorry, actually you need to formally present the petition to me, please, Greg. Thank you.
I do. I read the petition. So,
Thanks.
to the President and Councillors of the Shire of Augusta Margaret River, petition to reduce the speed of traffic on Tunbridge Street in Margaret River. We, the undersigned, and there are 34 residents of Tunbridge Street who have signed, we, the undersigned, are extremely concerned about the excessive speed of cars, motorbikes and trucks along Tunbridge Street in Margaret River. There are an increasing number of younger children that reside along Tunbridge Street, and entry onto the street by car is becoming unsafe. Tunbridge Street is a very common route for many young families, including many who do not reside there, to access schools, shops, the library and the skate park. There have been near misses involving young children and oncoming traffic. Redevelopment of the main street and rising population has impacted on the extra usage of the street. Currently, there are no speed limit signs along Tunbridge Street. We request minimum action to have speed limit signs, especially at Railway Terrace entering onto Tunbridge Street and 10 metres past Farrelly Street travelling towards Railway Terrace. For the safety of all, we believe this is an urgent matter which needs addressing immediately.
Thank you, Greg. And we have all received this petition electronically. So now, Council, I have a motion here that Council A receives the petition calling for support for a reduction in speed traffic on Tunbridge Avenue, Margaret River, and B requests that the CEO prepare a report on the petition. Are there any questions before we get this on the table from any councillors? No. Could I have a councillor to move this motion, please? Councillor Boland, and a seconder. Councillor Earl. Does anyone wish to speak for... Would you like to speak for this?
Actually, there's no debate.
Oh, no, there isn't. You're right.
When
Correct.
the petition is presented.
My apologies. Correct.
Yes,
so councillors, if you could please show a hand of support if you support this motion. And that is carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 9 is announcements from the presiding member, and I do have a couple of announcements. It's been a very busy few weeks since the new council formed, and in this time in my new role as the first community elected Shire President, I wish to acknowledge that I have made some judgments that were not beneficial for our collective of council that I regret making. Councillors, I am unreservedly apologetic for this. This induction to the role has been a significant learning experience. My leadership will be open, transparent, respectful and collaborative. I'm enthusiastic and excited to be working with this new council to achieve great outcomes for our community and appreciate having council's full support to continue to work together as a team. I wish to note that the Shire is currently under a heatwave advice and we expect this to remain in place for a number of days. In addition, all of the Shire is expecting elevated fire weather conditions for much of the remaining week, and as such, in conjunction with DFES's Lower South-West region, we have put in place elevated response requirements. The Shire has brought forward its prohibited burning period, which commenced today at 12:01 p.m, some 5 weeks earlier than normal. So I encourage everyone to remain vigilant in regards to this. Also, and finally, I wanted to say how sorry I am that Stephanie Addison-Brown is leaving her role as CEO of our Shire. Steph has achieved some great outcomes from our community in her time at our Shire over the 4.5 years. We wish Stephanie well in her future work and life endeavours, and we wish her to know that she will be missed by all of us here and within the community of the Augusta Margaret River Shire. She finishes up in February and a fun farewell is to come. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Item 10 on the agenda is questions from members of which due notice has been given, and there are none. So we now move on to item 11, reports of committees and officer reports. And we have item 11.3.1, list of payments for October 2023. And councillors, I have a motion here that council notes the October 2023 list of payments for $4,383,695.81 as certified correct by the CEO. Are there any questions in regards to this item, councillors? No, I'll have a councillor to move it, please. Councillor Keno and Councillor Muir to second. Councillor Keno, Councillor Muir. If no one wishes to speak against that, I'll put that to the vote, please. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 12 is motions from members of which previous notice has been given, and there are none. Item 13, motions for consideration at the next meeting. There are none. Now we have item 14, new business of an urgent nature, and we are bringing in an item of urgent business. So 14.2.1, and the item is a temporary CEO for substantive vacancy. Yep. So, councillors, I just need, we need to accept that it's urgent business. So, Councillor Earl, you'd like to move that motion, and Councillor Binks to accept that this is item business. And part of that procedural motion also is that we authorise that the meeting remains open to the public. So are there any questions around that? Oh, there are no questions, it's procedural. So let's put that to the vote. Councillors in favour? Okay, that's carried unanimously. So we'll bring that item in as urgent business. Okay, so councillors, we have a recommendation in front of us that council determines to appoint a temporary CEO by following an external recruitment process in accordance with the principles of merit and equity described in section 5.4 of the Act for the period of time until a substantive CEO has been recruited and commences employment with the local government in accordance with clause 4.1c of the acting and temporary CEO policy. Councillors, are there any questions in regards to this motion? Nope. Okay. Sorry, there's other components of that that motion, but I don't believe I need to read all that because we are all well aware of what we're considering here. Now, do I need to move it to the okay.
For point 2, call for nominations.
Yep.
The amendment would be to add into the process.
Okay. So, councillors, we just need to call for names for part 2 of this motion. So, so 3 councillor names, and I'm proposed. So who would like to? Yeah, Councillor Binks, would you like to?
Yeah, I'd like to nominate Councillor Earl, Councillor Christofanini, and the Shire President, Councillor Meldrum.
Okay, we'll just make sure we do this right, councillors. So, did anyone want to propose an amendment in regards to proxies in the event? Okay, Councillor Binks, we'll just have to deal with this for a sec. Thanks. Sorry, Councillor Binks. So, councillors, sorry, we're just making sure we do this right. So, in the event we need a proxy for these names, I'm suggesting that someone proposes an amendment to allow for proxies to be tied in with this motion. So, Councillor Earl, do you have would you like to foreshadow an amendment for that?
Yeah, I'll move an amendment in there that Councillor Cano, and there's a proxy to that, and then Councillor Binks after that if for some reason we run out of numbers.
Okay, so in terms of, so we'll just get the wording right for this, councillors, if you just wait a minute, please. Okay, councillors, so we have an amendment here that endorses Councillor Cano and Councillor Binks to be proxies for the panel. Do I have a seconder for this amendment, please? Councillor Muir? Councillor Earl, do you need to speak to that? Councillor Muir? No. If there's no one to speak for or against that, let's put that to the vote, councillors. All those in favour? So that's carried unanimously. So that now becomes part of the substantive motion. Okay, councillors, so...
Point of order, we actually needed a seconder for that.
Correct, that's what I'm getting to, yep. So Councillor Binks has moved this motion. Do I have a seconder, please, to move this recommendation? Councillor Muir. Councillor Binks, would you like to speak to this motion? Councillor Muir? No? No one else? Okay, councillors, let's put this motion to the vote. All those in favour, please. That is carried unanimously. Thank you. Item 15 on the agenda is confidential business, and there is none. So I wish to declare the meeting closed at 5:58 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for your attendance. Thanks.